It'll be just like starting over, just like the Baltimore Ravens. And Nestor, welcome in.
Sounds like you're feeling the love, Dan. Are you?
I'm feeling the love. I am warm and fuzzy.
I said that to Luke earlier, and you can check this one out. But I said it was sort of like the peaceful namaste Harbaugh today. I mean, everything was sort of zen today for John Harbaugh. I think people wanted sort of fire and brimstone and heads rolling and all of that. I didn't sense that John was tight, quite frankly, at all. I sensed that he was loose and was at peace with, well, we got to go forward now. I mean, there's we could talk about 4th and 12, and that'll be great, but how are we going to get better wide receivers? How are we going to sign a center? How are we going to get after the quarterback better? I mean, that's sort of the John I felt like we got on Thursday afternoon.
Well, you know what? If I was making $7 million this year and they had 14 more coming to me the next 2 years, maybe I would have the same attitude. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, I don't know that comes along with it. I certainly don't sense that there's any I don't sense that I don't think he did a bad job of coaching the team this year. You know what I mean? Like, I don't look at him as the big problem. I look at injuries as a problem. I look at some scheme. I look at some execution. But I don't think they were poorly coached. If you want to throw the baby out with the bathwater and go after Harbaugh, fine. They were 4-5, and they came a 4th and 12 away from playing this week. And by the way, do you know that they're serving teal-colored beer and teal-colored foods in Jacksonville this week? Are you aware of this?
Not aware, but I'm not big on processed food and food coloring, but good for them.
I'm just saying it's a very weird thing they're doing there. I don't want you to be alarmed when you see people drinking green beer at a football game this weekend.
I'm not alarmed.
But, had we gone to Jacksonville, we would have been a part of that. And as I brought up with you, in the aftermath of the mess the other day, Dan, I had the barbecue from Jack Stack Barbecue in Kansas City on my fingers. Nice. It was on my nose. I had the cheesy corn ready and the beans and that crown. I was all ready to go to Kansas City. But, you have to move on. I don't know what else to say. I mean, the Ravens aren't going to fire everyone over this loss again, and I know that's not going to make the fans happy.
Let me hit the rewind button here for a minute, Nestor. The team came out flat against the Bengals, right? They came out flat on offense, flat on defense.
Correct.
Isn't that the head coach's job to get the team ready to play at the opening whistle with so much at stake, being a 10-point favorite against these lame duck Cincinnati Bengals?
I would say it's the head coach's job to get the team into the playoffs the last 3 years, and he hasn't done that. So, that's – and he would say that. He would say that. And it's it's a business about productivity, but it's also a relationship business to some degree. And, there's only one measurement, right? I mean, literally, whoever is having the parade on February 7th or 8th, they'll be the winners. Everyone else, they're not going to feel good about this season, no matter how it goes. There are 12 teams out there that 11 of these teams are going to feel sick in the next 3 weeks. That's just the way this works. But, for Bisciotti, the big question is selling tickets. Believing that selling tickets is tied to winning and what's going to bring winning here the quickest, the bestest, as they would say. We've thrown this around for 4 days. We're going to throw this around between now and whatever that measurement is in September 10th, 11th, 12th, when they're going to play football again the next time, and then 52 weeks from now, where they're either going to be in their 4th year of having not made the playoffs with a 34-year-old quarterback and all of that other stuff, or they're going to be a playoff team this time next year. You're going to be hard-pressed to convince me between now and September that they're going to convince anybody psychologically that they're going to be a playoff team next year. That's going to be a very hard off-season hill for them to climb, I think.
Yeah, that's going to be a very hard sell, Nestor, in addition to how did they get fans back in the seats? I mean, you had 35,000 crazies there Sunday night against the Bengals, and I'd venture to say that a lot of those weren't season ticket holders. A lot of those fans had bought tickets very cheap on StubHub or given tickets or bought it from a friend for $20 to $50. So how many of the hardcore Ravens fans have they really lost this year? I think, to me, that's a big question.
Well, there's going to be a huge percentage when the season ticket books go out, right? Like when that envelope comes and when you have to pull the credit card out, That's where the rubber meets the road. It's almost like when the Hall of Fame ballots come out. Like people are going to put their little renewals up and say yes or no, right? On Facebook, I'm sure, because the people that are pissed are loud. I mean, they're the ones saying, I'm not buying my tickets, on and on and on. I'm going to check my box. They're going to get my check this year. I'm going to buy my tickets. I'm a Ravens fan. Nothing has shaken me. And the losing part of it, we've had 2 parades here, Dan. We win a lot of football games here. We were playing 5 days ago with a chance to make the playoffs on a 4th and 12 at home. So I don't really feel like on the field they owe me anything more, and I'm not a part of the knee controversy one way or another because I'm a free speech guy. I mean, I'm a free speech guy. That's who I am. So I'm not mad at them other than are they holding themselves accountable, And for me, they are. For me, I know how hard they try, how hard it is to do, how 1 4th and 12 where Maurice Kennedy's not in the right spot cost them a chance to go drink green beer in Jacksonville or run off to Kansas City and eat barbecue. So, my standards are high, my bar is high. But if you're going to throw John Harbaugh and Eric DeCosta and Ozzie Newsome and this system out the door after 22 years, I'd like to know what you want. What system do you want them to bring in? Do you want Matt Patricia to be your coach, or Josh McDaniels, or Jim Schwartz, or Chuck Pagan? I don't know. I where they are right now, I know what Steve Bisciotti's answer is, and his answer is not yet. I'm not doing that right now. Not right here, right now. I've got enough problems. I don't need to acclimate a new front office and coaching staff in this environment right here, right now, with this quarterback, with this team. That's not the right direction to go. That's Steve Bisciotti's idea, not Nestor's.
Yeah, but I still go back to saying that this team for the last 4 to 5 years hasn't been good enough to be a serious contender, but they also haven't stunk. They've been stuck in that 500 range, and look, they've been 40-40 since the Super Bowl. So that's what they bear out. They're average, mediocre, that type of a team.
And then you say why? Why is that? Is that the at the supermarket? Who's picking the ingredients? Well, that's Ozzie and Eric, right? Then who's coaching them up? I mean, is Brashad Perryman a failed draft pick because of Eric DeCosta, Joe Ortiz, and Ozzie Newsome? Or is it because of John Harbaugh and Marty Morningwing and Greg Romans and Joe Flacco? Or is it because Brashad Perryman? You know what I mean? You tell me. It's somewhere in the middle of all of that. Or is it the demons of being injured? I really don't know. But somewhere in there, every time this happens, it gets blamed on Ozzie. It gets blamed on John. It gets blamed on Joe, right? I mean, they're the ones that take the brunt of all of this. Ozzie can't pick players anymore. Harbaugh can't coach them up anymore. Flacco can't play anymore. The offensive line's no good because the coaching's no good, and it's all because of, pick a line coach. Juan Castillo, it's his fault. It's Marty Morningwig. It's scheme. It's the running back who can't hit the hole. It's the wide receiver who can't catch the ball. It's the purple ghost that chased Pitta and Yonda and Alex Lewis and Siragusa and Tavon Young and, down the line, and Macklin. He can't stay healthy. So, man, this is it's almost like talking about politics, man. There's a lot of stuff going on here. You know what I mean? It'd be like for me to say to you, what makes Coons Ford such a great car dealership? Well, you would say, well, it's my leadership, of course, right? But it's 1,000 things, right? And when things go wrong, it might have been the snowstorm this morning that hurt sales, or it might have been, the construction on the highway that didn't get the cars to your... there's a million reasons why things go right and wrong, and I think we dissect them as well as anyone around here. I don't know that I'm on the Harbaugh needs to be fired or Ozzie needs to be fired train, but certainly the heat's turned up at a boiling point at this point because it has to be 3 years in. And the Bisciotti presser is going to be legendary, right? Like, literally, right?
Well, we'll see. We thought last year's were legendary, and I'm curious to see if he's going to say the same exact things or just repackage what he said last year, because I can't imagine him saying anything different. I mean, I would think that this would be a year, no matter what the excuses are. I think if the Ravens don't make the playoffs, I would think they would have to make some changes.
Yeah, I would think we're getting down to the bottom of the wick, right? On the candle. I mean, I don't think that there's any I think John understands that, and I think Ozzie. I think they all sort of I think Joe Flacco understands that. Terrell Suggs, Marshall Yanda, who's been working for 4 months to try to get himself healthy enough to come off the farm from Iowa and give it one last go next year to try to make a Super Bowl in Miami this time next year. So, all their eyes are focused on it. They've done this before, and they've circled the wagons, but it certainly does feel like a last best chance here, right? And Bisciotti may speak to it in such terms.
Yeah. Did you get a chance to listen or see Harbaugh's press conference today?
No, I was sitting in the front row. Yes.
Okay. So what were your observations from Coach?
Well, that's what I said. I think we saw a Zen version of John. Dude, I'm used to John being tight, man. Really, really tight, right? Like tight on Wednesday, tight on Friday, tight after the game Sunday. Even when they win, sometimes he's a little tight. And they were under 500. He's always tight. I said this was Zen John. John was talking about doing some hot yoga and, getting his chakras in order because he's got 8 months before he can go win a football game again. And it's pretty clear the organization has given him the vote of confidence. You're not getting fired this time around, so go give us your best shot. Go hire a DC. Go figure out if Greg Romans is going to be around. Let's go figure out how we're going to solve this wide receiver thing. Let's go figure out these free agents in the offseason. Let's make my coaches better. Let's make the players better. So, all of that's going on right now, but I think John's been through the best. Right? John's been on the plane to Disney World after the game.
Yeah.
John has been in I'm coaching games in December that don't matter. We did that 2 years ago with a broken-down quarterback. And John has been in my kicker missed a field goal. I had a timeout in my pocket and didn't realize it, and I have to go answer to everybody for that, for not going to the Super Bowl. So I think John's walked into the principal's office up in Steve's den. And John talked a lot about their friendship and their relationship, and you can relate to that. You run a company. You run a company for the Coons family, and you would think of it as a friendship and a business relationship after so many years. But you also understand there's a standard there, and that any day could be the last day for any of this. You know what I mean? So I looked at this very much as a stable front office that they're all going kumbaya in, but the wick is burning, and the standard of making the playoffs has not been met, and I think they all have to account for that. No matter how much money they're making, it is the NFL. It's not for long, and those empty seats. John acknowledges those empty seats. They all have to acknowledge. I mean, I've written 18,000 words on those empty seats, and I don't know what they're going to do about that problem, Dennis. I mean, I really don't. And the only thing they think they can do is win and be nice, I guess.
I guess so. But that 2012 team that brought the parade here to Baltimore, that was a much more talented team than anything that rolled out since that 2012 team.
Well, then maybe the expectations are different, right? I mean, certainly the expectations for the Orioles are going to be different now than they were in 13 or 14 or 15 when they clearly had representative pitching and hitting and youth and talent and leader and all that stuff. I guess that's why we sit here between now and September. And look, I'm going to have, 50 conversations with you between now and then. And Luke and I are going out to the Combine in Indy. And we're going to sit here, between then and the draft. And we're going to go through free agency. And there are going to be more rocks in the shoes, right? I mean, we didn't know Marshall Yanda wasn't going to play this year. We didn't know that Jeremy Maclin was going to be on the team until June. We didn't know Joe Flacco's back was going to hurt until August. I mean, there was all sorts of weird. I certainly wouldn't have told you that Terrell Suggs is going to look like a Hall of Famer this year. I wouldn't have bet on that. I wouldn't have bet on Weddle being as good as he was by and large this year. Jimmy Smith being as healthy as he was this year. This Alex Collins kid. So there's going to be all sorts of surprises. But, all I can hold them accountable to is where's the strategy? Where's the plan? Are we making good day-to-day decisions? And, are you giving us the best opportunity to win? Boy, that team came a 4th and 12 away from playing in Kansas City this week, and they had a lot go wrong. And they had to manage through a lot of landmines. So I'm not gonna put it on John, even though it's gonna be on his shoulders in the end. I mean, they didn't make the playoffs, and it's John's fault, and it's Joe's fault, and it's Steve's fault, and it's Marty Morningwig's fault. It's everybody's fault. It's Eric Weddle's fault. It's Jimmy Smith's fault. It's all their fault, right?
No question about it. Well, it's going to be a long off season. In the meantime, we'll just enjoy the NFL playoffs, the Orioles off season, etc., and we'll go from there. Nestor, always great having you on. Appreciate your time and insider on the show as always.
Terps, Caps, NFL, Wizards, college. But I got plenty going on here. You love the MMA. That never ends. So keep the faith here, Den. All is well. We're going to try to remain calm, and at some point, the heat will come back on.
You got it. Be well. Stay warm. Thanks again, Nestor.
You got it, Den.
Thank you. There he goes, Nestor J. Aparicio, always bringing the heat here at 1570 AM WNST. We'll duck out for a quick commercial.